In this video, we are going to learn about validating and sanitizing user input. So validating data is basically determining if the data is in proper form. And sanitizing data means removing any illegal character from the data. Now it becomes very important for us to validate and sanitize data, especially when we are taking input from a user. Let's say if I have a website, any social media website, and I have a form which actually asks for user details, all the personal details of the user. So if user enters any data, so it is my duty to check whether that data is in the proper form or not. Because let's say if that data is not in the proper form and I store that inside my database, it is of no use, right? And even I have to sanitize data as well, because if user tries to enter any illegal character inside my data, let's say in the field of email id, the user tries to input any different character, so I should know, right? I should remove all those illegal characters and then store the data, so the data should be fresh. So the my data should be free of these illegal characters and it should be in the proper form. So for that, validating and sanitizing data is very important. Okay, so let's see how we can do this in PHP. The PHP filter extension. PHP filters are used to validate and sanitize external input. So PHP has provided us some filters that we can use. Okay, actually there are tons of filter extensions. So I will be teaching you 2 to 3 of them. But of course, I cannot cover all these filter extensions. Okay. The PHP filter extension has many of the functions needed for checking user input and is designed to make data validation easier and quicker. So you can directly use those functions and you can check whether the data is in the proper form or not. So it makes our task much easier by providing us these functions. Okay, so let's see how to use them. PHP filter underscore var function. Okay, so we make use of this function to validate and sanitize data. This function both validate and sanitize data. So if you want to either validate or sanitize, you can make use of this function. The filter underscore var function filters a single variable with a specified filter. It takes two piece of data, means it takes two parameters. The first is the variable you want to check, means in easy language I can say the data. You can just pass the data. Now you can store that data in a variable and you can pass that variable. It all means the same thing. And the second, the type of check to use. Okay, so it will take two parameters. The first is the data and what you want to check on that data. Okay, so let's see that we'll understand this. Okay, so sanitize a string. So let's understand this through an example. Here what I'm saying is I want to sanitize a string. So I have a string which is holding a value hello world, but even it is holding some HTML characters, HTML tags, right? This h1 is an HTML tag, but I don't want this to be stored inside my database. I only want this string hello world to be stored. So what I will do is I will just use this function filter underscore var. First, I will have to pass the variable, means the data. And second, what I want to check, means if I want to validate, then I can use that. If I want to sanitize, then I can do that. In this case, we want to sanitize. That's why I have made use of filter underscore sanitize underscore string. So this is an inbuilt filter extension, and there are tons of many filter extensions that PHP has provided us. So basically it will sanitize the string for us. So it will remove all these tags and will get hello world, only hello world. Okay. So let's see this practically. I will just go to my IDE. Let's eliminate this and we have PHP. Inside this, I will first let's store a string. I will just say h1, and here I will say hello world. See, okay, now I don't want this h1 to be printed onto the screen, or I don't want that. I only want the proper data, that is the proper string hello world. So what I will do is I will just create one more string, new string, inside which I will store the results. I'll just say filter underscore var, and this function will take two parameters. First, the variable, in our case it is str. Second, I will just say oops filter underscore sanitize underscore string. Since it is a string, I have written string, okay, like this. And then what I can do is I can simply echo out this string, echo dollar new string. Okay, what I will do here is I will echo both these strings, okay, so that you can see the difference. So I'll just say str, then I will just break the line as should be dot. So I'm echoing out both the statements, the original string and the new string, means the sanitized string. Okay, so I'll just go to my browser and let's reload this. Continue. Okay. Hello world. Now this is in bold because I have placed this inside the h1 tag, and we know that h1 tag is used to bold. If you want your string to look bolder and bigger, you can make use of these tags. And our new string is a sanitized string, means it will remove all the HTML tags and unwanted things. It will just uh, print out the proper string. Okay, so here we have our proper string hello world and this. Okay, so you can basically use these all extensions to sanitize the data. In this case, I wanted to sanitize a string. That's why I made use of this. Okay, so let's see some more. Okay, now let's see an example to validate something. Okay, now validate an integer. Validate means we are checking whether our data is in the proper form or not. We have PHP. Okay, now inside this I have a variable which has a value 100. Okay, so it is an integer variable. Now I have made use of this filter underscore var function. Inside this I'm passing my data. In this case it is this variable dollar int, and I'm validating. In this case I'm validating, so we have another extension called filter underscore validate underscore int. Now since this is an integer variable, that's why I have made use of int. So that's why there are tons of many extensions that PHP has given us, so you can just check each of them. I won't be able to cover all of them. And what I'm saying, if not, I have even given an operator not, means if this is not equal to false, means if this function is not equal to false, that means the integer is valid, else we can say integer is not valid. This triple equal to operator means we are just checking whether they both are identical or not, the left hand side and the right hand side. So if they both are not equal, means if this is not equal to false, that means integer is valid, otherwise integer is not valid. Okay, so let's see this practically. I'll just eliminate this, and we have PHP, and here I will create a variable, okay, and store a value 100. Now I will just say if filter underscore var, and it takes two arguments. We all know, first the data, in this case it is int variable, and second I want to validate it, so I can use filter underscore validate. See, as you can see, there are so many. We have int, we have URL, we have boolean, email, float, domain, regex. So we have many more, but in this case we want int. So I'll just say int. If this is equal to true, then I will simply say echo integer is valid. Else I can simply say echo in integer is invalid. Okay. Okay. So means if this function returns true, means if this is true, that it is in the proper form, then it is here, it is in the proper form, right? This is a proper integer. So this statement will be printed integer is valid. So I will just save it and will run this. Let's go to the browser and run this. Continue. Okay, I forgot to mention, it should be this. If it is not equal to false, you have to write it in this way. I actually got confused. Okay. Means if this function is not equal to false, that means integer is valid, and else integer is invalid. So I'll just go to my browser and let's reload this. Okay, integer is valid. So I just wrote it in incorrect form. It should be if this function is not equal to false, that means integer is valid, else integer is invalid. Okay. See, if I just keep if I just do this as 100.50, now it is not an integer, so it will give print out this statement integer is invalid. Let's see. Integer is invalid since it is a boolean, sorry, since it is a floating point variable. So now let's go to the ppt and let's see. Okay, now we are going to perform sanitization and validation in at the same time. Okay, so let's see. The following example uses the filter underscore var function to first remove all illegal characters. So first it will remove all the illegal characters from the $email variable. Then check if it is a valid email address. So first we will be removing all the characters, illegal characters, and then we will be checking whether the email is in the correct form or not. So we have a email. I have stored this email inside this variable. Now first I'm sanitizing. So I have made use of this function and I'm passing email and filter underscore sanitize underscore email. Here I have used email. Okay. So all the illegal characters will be removed at this step. Then I'm validating. If this is not equal to false, here we have validate email. That means $email is a valid email address, else it is not a valid email address. Here from this we can easily say it is a valid email address. There is nothing wrong. There are no illegal characters. Okay. So everything is perfect. So I'll just go to my IDE and let's run this. We have PHP tags and here I will say $email and I'll just store mark dot collins at the rate example.com. Okay, just any email I'm taking, but it should be valid. Okay, but I'm just taking a valid email address and I'll just let's $email. I'll just sanitize this. I'll use filter underscore var and we have $email and we have an extension especially for email, so I can use it sanitize underscore email. Okay, so it will sanitize the email accordingly. It knows what all illegal characters to remove from an email. Okay, so it is intelligent. And then I will say validate. If this is not filter underscore var, here we will use filter underscore validate underscore oops, I'll just say email. If this is not equal to false, then we will just print out echo valid email address. Else I will say echo invalid email address. So everything here, I'm just sanitizing this email, and here I'm validating at this stage. Okay, so I'll just go to my browser and let's see. I'll just reload this. So valid email because there are no illegal means it is in the proper form. Let's say if I just enter any illegal character, let's say slash, then here I can make use of let's say dollar. Oh, okay. No, here I will just say hash and dollar. So I'm just inserting some illegal characters inside my email. Till it will give me valid email address. Let's see. I'll just again run this. Till it will give us valid email address. See, valid email address. Why? Because at this stage, I'm sanitizing, means it will remove all these illegal characters. Okay. So this is how you can make use of sanitize and validate functions. There are tons of extensions like this, which PHP has provided us. So you can make use of them and make your program more robust and more powerful. So this is all about sanitization and validations in PHP. Thank you.